Hello and welcome. I'm so glad you're here tonight. Find yourself a comfortable position, somewhere you can truly settle in. Let your body sink a little deeper into wherever you're resting. Maybe adjust your pillow. Let your arms fall naturally to your sides. Allow your legs to relax completely. Tonight, we're going on a journey together. A gentle exploration of the most beautiful truth science has ever revealed to us, that you and I, and everything we've ever known, are made of stardust. This isn't poetry, though it sounds like it. This isn't metaphor, though it feels like one. This is the actual story of how the atoms in your body were forged in the hearts of ancient stars, scattered across the cosmos, and somehow found their way here to this moment, to you. If you'd like, you can press the like button or subscribe to join us for more nights like this. But there's no pressure. All that matters right now is that you're here and you're safe and you can rest. Take a breath with me now. A slow, deep breath in through your nose, feeling your lungs expand, your chest rise. Hold it gently for just a moment, feeling the stillness, and now release it, letting it fall away like a leaf drifting down to still water, all the tension leaving your body with that breath. Again, breathe in the quietness of this moment, drawing peace into yourself. Hold it softly, like cradling something precious, and let it go, releasing everything you don't need anymore. You don't need to do anything else tonight. You don't need to solve anything, finish anything, or be anything other than exactly what you are right now. Let the day fall quietly behind you. Let your thoughts become softer, slower, like clouds dissolving into evening sky. Tonight belongs to rest. Tonight belongs to wonder. And if sleep comes to find you while we walk together through these cosmic fields, let it come. The story will continue, gentle and steady, whether you hear every word or not. You are safe here. You are held. You are exactly where you need to be. Long ago, before there was an earth, before there was a sun, before there were planets or moons or the gentle turning of seasons, the universe was younger and simpler. In those early epochs, billions of years before anything we would recognize existed, only the lightest elements were present, mostly hydrogen, some helium, traces of lithium floating in the cosmic dark. The universe had been born in a moment of impossible heat and light, and as it expanded and cooled through its first few minutes and hours and years, these simple elements formed, like the first words of a story that would take billions of years to tell. But there were no heavy elements yet. No carbon, the foundation of all life as we know it. No oxygen to fill your lungs with each breath. No iron to flow through your blood, carrying oxygen to your cells. No calcium to build your bones and give your body structure. No phosphorus for your DNA. No nitrogen for your proteins. No sulfur for your metabolism. These elements, the ones that make you possible, had not yet been created. They were waiting in a future that seemed impossibly distant, waiting to be born in the bellies of stars that had not yet ignited. The first stars appeared a few 100 million years after the beginning, enormous and brilliant, burning with a fierce intensity we can barely imagine today. These ancient giants were made almost entirely of that primordial hydrogen and helium, and they lived fast, burned bright, and died young. Some of them were hundreds of times more massive than our sun, blazing with a brilliance that would dwarf anything we see in our night sky today. Inside their cores, where temperatures reached tens of millions of degrees and pressures were beyond comprehension, nuclear fusion began. Hydrogen atoms pressed together under unimaginable force, fusing into helium. And in that fusion, energy poured outward, creating the light and radiation that pushed back against gravity's endless inward pull. These ancient stars were factories of creation, though they didn't know it. They couldn't know. They had no consciousness, no awareness of their role in the cosmic story. They were simply following the laws of physics, the way a river follows the path of least resistance, the way autumn follows summer, the way your heart beats without you having to think about it. But in following those laws, they were building the future. With each fusion reaction, they transformed one element into another, climbing slowly up what scientists call the periodic table. Helium fused into carbon through a process so delicate, so improbable that scientists call it a cosmic coincidence. Carbon into oxygen, oxygen into neon and magnesium, silicon into iron. Imagine, if you can, though there's no need to try too hard. Just let the images come softly. Imagine those first massive stars scattered across an infant universe. Each one a crucible of creation, each one gradually filling itself with heavier and heavier elements, layer upon layer building up inside them, like the rings of an ancient tree, each ring telling the story of a different era of fusion, a different element being born. The star burns hydrogen in its core, while shells around that core burn helium, and shells around those burn carbon, creating a cosmic onion of different nuclear processes, all happening simultaneously. If sleep is beginning to find you, don't fight it. Let your breathing slow naturally, like waves settling on a calm evening shore. Let your muscles release whatever small tensions they're still holding. The story continues, whether you're awake or dreaming. And right now, in this moment, there's nowhere you need to be and nothing you need to do except rest. You are safe. You are held by the earth beneath you, by gravity that has been holding you your entire life, by the gentle embrace of darkness. These first massive stars couldn't sustain themselves forever. Fusion creates energy, but only up to a point. Iron, that sturdy element number 26, sits at a peculiar place in the cosmic story. When you fuse elements lighter than iron, you release energy. This is what powers the star. What creates the outward pressure that keeps it from collapsing under its own gravity? When you fuse elements heavier than iron, you actually consume energy instead of releasing it. So when a massive star's core fills up with iron, the game changes. The outward pressure from fusion begins to fail. Gravity, which has been waiting patiently for millions of years, finally wins. What happens next happens faster than a heartbeat, faster than a thought. The core collapses in on itself in less than a second, and then rebounds in one of the most violent explosions the universe can produce. We call it a supernova, and in that moment of catastrophic beauty, a single star can briefly outshine an entire galaxy of hundreds of billions of stars. The explosion tears the star apart, sending its carefully forged elements streaming out into space at a significant fraction of the speed of light, enriching the interstellar medium with the products of stellar nucleosynthesis. But here's where the story becomes even more remarkable. In the fury of that explosion, in those final seconds of a star's existence, conditions become so extreme that even iron can be transformed. Neutrons flood through the exploding material in such abundance that atoms begin capturing them, one after another, climbing rapidly up the periodic table to create elements that could never form inside a living star. Gold and platinum, silver and uranium, lead and thorium, and dozens of other heavy elements are born in this brief, brilliant moment. The heaviest elements in the periodic table, the ones that can only be created through rapid neutron capture, owe their existence to these cosmic catastrophes. Your wedding ring, if you wear one, was forged in a supernova. The gold that humanity has prized for thousands of years, that we've shaped into art and jewelry and symbols of devotion, that sparked gold rushes and built empires, was created in the death throes of massive stars billions of years ago. Every atom of gold that exists anywhere in the universe was born in these stellar explosions, or in the even more violent collisions of neutron stars, when two dead stellar cores spiral into each other and merge in a flash of gravitational waves and gamma rays. Let that settle in your mind gently, like snow falling on a quiet field. The preciousness we assign to gold isn't arbitrary, it truly is rare. Truly is special, born only in the most extreme moments the cosmos can create. And you've held it in your hands. You've worn it against your skin. You are touching the remnants of stellar death transformed into something beautiful. You are connected through that simple metal to events that happened before the Earth existed. Before the sun was born, in distant corners of the galaxy we will never visit, the debris from these supernovae doesn't disappear. It spreads outward in an expanding shell, mixing with the hydrogen and helium that still dominate interstellar space, enriching it with these new elements, these building blocks of complexity. Over time, over vast stretches of time measured in millions and billions of years, these enriched clouds of gas and dust begin to collapse under their own gravity, forming new stars. And these second-generation stars are different from their predecessors. They contain the legacy of those earlier generations, the elements forged in ancient stellar cores, the heavy atoms that will make planets possible, that will make life possible. Our sun is one of these later generation stars. It formed about 4.5 billion years ago from a cloud of gas and dust that had already been enriched by countless stellar deaths. That cloud, called the solar nebula, contained not just hydrogen and helium, but carbon and oxygen, silicon and iron, and trace amounts of nearly every element on the periodic table. When the sun ignited at the center of that collapsing cloud, when fusion began in its core and it became a true star, the leftover material formed a disk around it. And from that disk, slowly, over tens of millions of years, the planets gradually took shape. You don't need to stay awake for all of this. The universe doesn't mind if you drift. These processes took billions of years. There's no rush, no urgency. If your thoughts are becoming softer, more distant, that's exactly right. That's exactly where you should be. Let your mind wander like a leaf on a gentle stream, carried by currents you don't need to understand or control. The Earth that eventually formed was a collection of those stellar remnants. Every atom of iron in its molten core, the iron that creates our planet's magnetic field and protects us from solar radiation, came from a star. Every molecule of water that would eventually fill its oceans contained oxygen from stellar fusion and hydrogen from the beginning of time itself. Every grain of sand on every beach, every mountain peak, every river valley, every handful of soil, all of it built from stardust, assembled grain by grain as our planet came together from the debris of that ancient cloud. And then, through processes we're still working to fully understand, something extraordinary happened. Some of those atoms, arranged in just the right configurations in the warm shallow pools or deep ocean vents of the young Earth, began to do something that non-living matter doesn't do. They began to copy themselves. They began to evolve. They began, in a sense, to wake up. Life emerged from stardust, and over billions of years, it became more complex, more diverse, more aware. Single cells became multicellular organisms. Simple organisms became complex ones. And eventually, some of those organisms became conscious, became aware of themselves and their surroundings, became capable of wondering about their own origins. Your body is a temporary gathering of these ancient atoms. The calcium in your bones was created in a dying star, fused in the final desperate moments before a supernova scattered across space, incorporated into the solar nebula, condensed into the Earth, cycled through rocks and oceans and countless organisms before finding its way to you. The iron in your blood, which right now is carrying oxygen to every cell in your body, keeping you alive with every heartbeat, was forged in a stellar core billions of years before Earth existed. The carbon that forms the backbone of every molecule of DNA, every protein, every cell in your body, that carbon was created inside a star through the fusion of helium atoms, 3 at a time, in a process so improbable that scientists call it a lucky coincidence that it works as efficiently as it does. Think about your hand for a moment. If you're still awake to do so, you don't need to move it, just be aware of it. That hand is made of approximately 7 octillion atoms. That's 7 followed by 27 zeros. A number so large it's almost meaningless to our human minds. Each one of those atoms is billions of years old. They've been on journeys you cannot imagine. They've existed in interstellar clouds and meteorites, in ancient oceans and volcanic rock, in plants and animals and microbes and soil, and now they're part of you, arranged in the specific pattern that makes you who you are. But they won't stay with you forever. You're breathing right now. And with each breath, you're exchanging atoms with the world around you. You're drinking water, eating food, and your body is constantly breaking down molecules and rebuilding them, maintaining the pattern of you while the actual substance slowly changes. Within about 7 to 10 years, nearly every atom in your body will have been replaced. You are a pattern, a process, a dance, a wave moving through the ocean of stardust that makes up our world. The atoms change, but the pattern persists. And that pattern is you. Let your breathing grow even slower now, even gentler, in and out, like waves on a distant shore, like the slow expansion and contraction of the universe itself. There's a rhythm to everything, a pulse, and you can feel it if you relax into it. Your heartbeat, your breath, the turning of the Earth, the orbit of planets, the life cycles of stars, all of it connected, all of it part of the same cosmic dance that's been going on for nearly 14 billion years. The atoms that make you possible have been part of this dance since the early universe. The hydrogen in your body, the most common element in your composition after oxygen and carbon, most of that hydrogen hasn't changed since the first few minutes after the Big Bang. Those hydrogen atoms in the water molecules that make up about 60% of your body weight have been hydrogen for nearly 14 billion years. They've witnessed everything. They were there when the first stars formed. They were there when our galaxy took shape from the merger of smaller protogalaxies. They were there when the sun ignited and Earth coalesced from the protoplanetary disk. They were there for all of it, silent witnesses to cosmic history. Some of those hydrogen atoms might have once been part of the interstellar cloud that became our solar system. They might have spent billions of years just drifting in the cold and dark between stars, occasionally bumping into other atoms, occasionally being ionized by passing radiation from distant stars, but mostly just existing, patient and unchanging, waiting for gravity to pull them into something new. And then gravity brought them here to this solar system, to this planet, and eventually, through the food you eat and the water you drink, to you. Other atoms in your body have more dramatic history. Some of the oxygen you're breathing right now might have been released by a tree 100 years ago, or 1,000, or just last week. It might have been breathed in by someone else before you. Might have been part of a whale swimming in the Pacific Ocean, or a bird flying over the Amazon rainforest, or a person who lived centuries ago in a place you'll never visit. Atoms circulate through the biosphere, moving from organism to organism, from the living world to the atmosphere and back again, over and over in cycles that have been repeating for billions of years. There's something deeply comforting in this, isn't there? You're not separate from the universe. You're not a stranger here. You're made of the same substance as the stars themselves, arranged temporarily into the pattern of a human being, a pattern that can think and feel and wonder about its own origins. You are the universe looking at itself, trying to understand itself, and finding in that understanding a sense of belonging that runs deeper than words can express. If you're still awake, that's wonderful. If you're starting to drift into sleep, that's wonderful too. There's no wrong way to experience this moment. Let your body do whatever it needs to do. Let your mind wander wherever it wants to go. The cosmos is patient, and so there's no deadline here, no requirement, no test to pass. Just rest, just be. Just allow yourself to exist in this moment. Breathing slowly, sinking deeper into relaxation with each passing second. Scientists estimate that you share atoms with every person who has ever lived. The mathematics of atomic mixing over centuries and millennia makes it almost certain that you have atoms in your body that were once part of Cleopatra or Julius Caesar, Leonardo da Vinci or Marie Curie, Shakespeare or Beethoven, your great-grandparents and mine. We're all mixed together, literally at the atomic level. Every breath you take contains atoms that were once breathed by someone else, somewhere else, sometime else. We are connected through the very substance of our bodies, through the recycling of matter that has been going on since life first emerged on this planet. And it's not just humans. You share atoms with every living thing that's ever existed on Earth. You have atoms that were once part of dinosaurs that walked the earth millions of years ago, of ancient ferns in Carboniferous forests 300 million years ago, of bacteria in primordial seas billions of years ago when life was just beginning. You have atoms that were once part of the first organisms to photosynthesize, creating the oxygen atmosphere that makes animal life possible. You have atoms that were once part of the last mammoth, the last dodo, the last passenger pigeon. You are carrying their legacy in your very substance. You have atoms that were once part of the moon, delivered to Earth in meteorites blasted off the lunar surface by asteroid impacts. You have atoms that might have once been part of comets at the edge of the solar system, frozen for billions of years before gravitational perturbations sent them falling toward the sun, where they evaporated and eventually made their way to Earth. You are a collection of travelers, of wanderers, who have found their way here to this moment to form you. The nitrogen in your DNA, the protein in your muscles, the calcium in your bones, these elements are not evenly distributed in the universe. They're concentrated in places like Earth, places where stars have lived and died, where their remnants have collected and organized themselves into planets and moons. Most of the universe is still just hydrogen and helium, the primordial elements from the beginning. The heavy elements, the interesting elements, the elements that make complexity possible, they're rare, they're precious. They're the result of stellar alchemy, of nuclear fusion in the hearts of stars, of supernova explosions that scattered those elements across space. But here, on this small, rocky world orbiting an ordinary star in the outer reaches of an ordinary galaxy, here we have abundance and diversity. Here we have iron and oxygen, carbon and nitrogen, phosphorus and sulfur, and all the other elements that make complex chemistry possible. Here we have liquid water, that remarkable molecule made of ancient hydrogen and stellar oxygen, capable of dissolving and transporting other molecules, making possible the intricate chemistry of life. Here we have an atmosphere thick enough to protect us, but transparent enough to let starlight through. Here we have just the right temperature range, just the right conditions for a matter to become aware of itself, and you are that awareness. You are a matter that has learned to think. Atoms arranged in such a way that they can contemplate their own existence. Stardust that has learned to wonder about stars. Every thought, you think, every emotion you feel, every memory you hold, all of it is happening through the dance of atoms, the movement of electrons, the flow of charged particles across the membranes of neurons. Your consciousness, that mysterious thing that experiences the world from the inside, emerges from the same physical laws that govern the formation of galaxies and the fusion of elements in stellar core. There's no need to understand exactly how this works. Even scientists are still puzzling over the hard problem of consciousness, still trying to figure out how subjective experience arises from objective matter, how the firing of neurons gives rise to the felt quality of being you. For now, for tonight, it's enough to simply appreciate the mystery of it, the wonder of it. You exist. Against all odds, through billions of years of cosmic evolution, you exist. And you're part of something much larger than yourself, something ancient and ongoing and magnificent. Feel the weight of your body right now, wherever you're resting. That weight is gravity pulling on your mass. And your mass is just the combined mass of all those atoms that have gathered together to form you. Einstein taught us that mass and energy are really the same thing, two forms of the same fundamental reality related by his famous equation. And that gravity is not a force in the traditional sense, but rather the curvature of space-time caused by mass and energy. So in a very real sense, your body is bending the fabric of the universe around you, creating a tiny dimple in space. You are shaping reality simply by existing. Every mass does this, from the smallest particle to the largest galaxy. And you are no exception. Every star does the same thing, of course, but on a much grander scale. The sun curves spacetime around itself so dramatically that it holds 8 planets and countless smaller bodies in orbit, not through some mysterious force reaching across empty space, but through the geometry of spacetime itself. The planets are following straight lines through curved spacetime, and those straight lines form ellipses around the sun. And when stars become dense enough, when they collapse into neutron stars or black holes at the end of their lives, they curve spacetime so severely that strange and beautiful things happen. Time slows down near their relative to distant observers. Light bends around them, creating gravitational lensing effects. They become tears in the fabric of reality itself, regions where the curvature becomes so extreme that our usual intuitions about space and time break down completely. But even a black hole is made of the same fundamental stuff as you. It's matter and energy, following the laws of physics, taken to an extreme. It's stardust that has collapsed under its own gravity to a point where escape becomes impossible, becoming something exotic and mysterious, but not something separate from the rest of the universe. Even black holes are part of the family, distant cousins in the great genealogy of cosmic structures, subject to the same fundamental laws that govern everything else. Let your thoughts drift now, like leaves on a slow-moving stream, like clouds crossing a summer sky. You don't need to hold on to any particular idea or image. Let them come and go as they please. The universe doesn't require your constant attention. It continues whether you're thinking about it or not, whether you're awake or asleep. And that's one of the most restful truths there is. The cosmos takes care of itself. And you can rest. You can let go. You can trust the universe to keep turning while you sleep. When you look up at the night sky, on a clear, dark night, far from city lights, you can see a few thousand stars with your naked eye. Each one of those stars is a sun, many of them larger and brighter than our own sun, each one potentially surrounded by planets. Each one fusing hydrogen into helium in its core, each one slowly working its way through its life cycle. The light from those stars left them years ago, decades ago, sometimes centuries or millennia ago. You're seeing them not as they are now, but as they were when that light began its journey across the galaxy. Some of those stars might already be dead. They might have exploded as supernova centuries ago, and their light is still traveling toward us. And we won't know they're gone until that light reaches us and we see the sudden brightening that signals their death. In a way, we're always looking at the past when we look at the stars. We're seeing light that has been traveling for longer than humans have had written language, longer than we've been farming, longer than we've been human at all. The nearest star to our sun, Proxima Centauri, is about 4 light-years away. When you see its faint red light in the sky, though, you'd need a telescope to see it. As it's too dim for the naked eye, you're seeing it as it was 4 years ago. The light left that star for years in the past, traveled across the vast emptiness between stars at the cosmic speed limit, and arrived at your eye just now. You are receiving a message from the past, sent not in words but in photons, particles of light that have crossed the galaxy to reach you. And those photons themselves are remarkable things. They have no mass, yet they have energy and momentum. They travel at the speed of light because they are light. And at that speed, something strange happens to time. From the photon's perspective, If a photon could have a perspective, no time passes during its journey. It is created and absorbed in the same instant. From its point of view, the 4 years it takes to travel from Proxima Centauri to Earth is 4 years from our perspective. But from the photon's perspective, the journey takes 0 time. The entire universe, in the direction of the photon's motion, is contracted down to nothing by relativistic effects. This is one of the beautiful mysteries of relativity. Time is not absolute. It flows at different rates depending on your motion and the strength of the gravitational field you're in. Astronauts on the International Space Station age ever so slightly slower than people on Earth's surface because they're moving fast relative to Earth and they're in a slightly weaker gravitational field. The difference is tiny, just a few milliseconds over months in orbit, but it's measurable, it's real, and it's predicted perfectly by Einstein's equations. Time is relative, flexible, dependent on your frame of reference. You don't need to understand the mathematics. You don't need to be able to solve the equations. Just let the strangeness of it wash over you. The beautiful weirdness of a universe where time is flexible, where space can stretch and curve, where matter and energy are two forms of the same thing, where the atoms in your body have been on impossible journeys lasting billions of years, where nothing is quite as simple or as fixed as it seems in our everyday experience. Your breath is slowing down, becoming deeper, more regular. That's your body's natural wisdom, preparing itself for sleep, for rest, for the restoration that comes with letting go. In sleep, your brain will sort through the day's experiences, consolidating memories, processing emotions, doing the essential maintenance work that can only happen when consciousness releases its grip. Your body will repair tissues, replace cells, continue the endless work of maintaining the pattern of you. And you don't have to do anything to make this happen. Your body knows what to do. It's been doing it every night of your life, following programs written over billions of years of evolution. And even while you sleep, the atoms continue their dance. Electrons orbit nuclei, though orbit isn't quite the right word anymore. Quantum mechanics taught us that electrons don't orbit like planets around a sun. Instead, they exist in probability clouds, regions where they're likely to be found, but not definite paths they follow. They're simultaneously everywhere and nowhere in those clouds until something interacts with them and collapses the wave function, forcing them to be in a specific place at a specific time. Chemical bonds form and break. Molecules move and interact. The biochemical machinery of your cells continues its work without any conscious direction from you. Your heart keeps beating somewhere between 60 and 100 times per minute for most people, pumping blood through tens of thousands of miles of blood vessels, delivering oxygen and nutrients to every cell in your body, removing waste products, maintaining the internal environment that makes life possible. Your lungs keep breathing, drawing in oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide in a rhythm that's been going on since the moment you were born and will continue until the moment you die. Your digestive system continues processing whatever you've eaten, breaking down complex molecules into simpler ones that your cells can use. Your immune system patrols your body, identifying and destroying pathogens, repairing damage, keeping you healthy. All of this happens automatically, without thought, without effort, driven by the same biochemical processes that have sustained life on Earth for billions of years. In a very real sense, your body is older than you are. The mechanisms that keep you alive were developed over billions of years of evolution, refined through countless generations of organisms, tested and improved through natural selection. The basic machinery of your cells, the way they produce energy through cellular respiration, the way they copy DNA during cell division, the way they synthesize proteins from genetic instructions, these processes are almost identical to those used by bacteria that lived billions of years ago. You are running on ancient software, code that has been debugging itself and optimizing itself for longer than there have been animals or plants or fungi, longer than there have been multicellular organisms at all. And before life, there were stars doing their work of creating elements, building up the periodic table, one fusion reaction at a time. The universe has been preparing for you for nearly 14 billion years, building up the conditions, creating the elements, forging the atoms that would eventually become you. You are not an accident or an afterthought. You are the universe's way of knowing itself. One of countless ways, perhaps, but a way nonetheless. You are what happens when hydrogen atoms, given enough time, begin to wonder where they came from. Other planets orbit other stars. We know this now. We've discovered thousands of exoplanets in the last few decades since the first confirmed detection in the 1990s, and we're finding more all the time as our detection methods improve. Some of them are giant gas worlds larger than Jupiter. Hot Jupiters orbiting so close to their stars that their atmospheres are being stripped away. Some are small and rocky like Earth, super-Earths with masses several times our planets. Some orbit so close to their stars that their surfaces are molten, tidally locked with one side, always facing their sun. Some are so far away that any water they have is frozen, solid ice worlds in perpetual winter. And just a few so far, orbit in that sweet spot called the habitable zone, where temperatures might allow liquid water to exist on the surface, where life as we know it might be possible. We don't yet know if any of those worlds harbor life. We're looking, listening, analyzing the atmospheres of distant planets for chemical signatures that might indicate biological processes, sending out signals and searching for signs of intelligence. But space is vast and signals take years or decades or centuries to travel between stars. Even if there are other civilizations out there, even if some of them are trying to contact us right now, their messages might still be in transit. Crossing the light years that separate us, traveling at the speed of light but still taking years or centuries or millennia to arrive. But whether we're alone or not, whether life is common or rare in the universe, whether intelligence emerges frequently or is vanishingly improbable, one thing is certain: we are all made of the same stuff. If there are alien organisms on a planet orbiting a distant star in some other part of the galaxy, they are made of atoms forged in stellar cores, just like you. They are stardust arranged into different patterns perhaps, following different biochemistry, built on different evolutionary principles, but fundamentally made of the same ancient elements that were created in the first generations of stars. There's a unity to this that's worth dwelling on as you drift towards sleep. Everything is connected. Everything came from the same source. The atoms in your left hand and the atoms in your right hand might have been forged in different stars, might have traveled completely different paths through the galaxy before ending up here as part of you. But they follow the same physical laws, obey the same forces, participate in the same great cosmic story. You are a temporary gathering of these ancient travelers. And when your pattern dissolves, when the dance that is you comes to its natural end, those atoms will continue on other journeys, becoming part of other patterns, other organisms, other structures, participating in the ongoing story of the universe. When stars explode as supernovae, they seed their galaxies with heavy elements, enriching the interstellar medium, providing the raw material for new generations of stars and planets. Our Milky Way galaxy has been enriching itself this way for more than 10 billion years. The oldest stars in our galaxy, formed when the galaxy itself was young, contain very few heavy elements. They're almost pure hydrogen and helium, like the first stars in the universe. And we call them population 3 stars when we talk about the absolute first generation. Though we haven't actually observed any of them yet, but younger stars like the Sun, that formed more recently, contain a much richer mix of elements, between 1 and 2% heavy elements by mass. And the very youngest stars being born today, forming in giant molecular clouds scattered throughout the galaxy, have even more heavy elements to work with, continuing the enrichment process. This process of enrichment is slow but relentless. With each generation of stars, the galaxy becomes a little less dominated by hydrogen and helium, a little more diverse in its elemental composition. And as it becomes more diverse, it becomes capable of more complex structures. Rocky planets like Earth can only form around stars that have enough heavy elements to work with. Gas giants need solid cores to form, which requires heavy elements. Life, as far as we know, requires a mix of elements: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, and many others that simply didn't exist in the early universe, that had to be created through stellar nucleosynthesis and distributed through supernovae explosions. So in a sense, we live in a special era of cosmic history. The universe is old enough now that multiple generations of stars have lived and died, enriching the galaxies with heavy elements, making planets like Earth possible, making life possible, making consciousness possible. But the universe is still young enough that stars are still forming. Galaxies are still colliding and merging and creating new bursts of star formation. New planetary systems are still coming into existence. We exist in a window of cosmic time where complexity is possible, where matter can organize itself into planets and oceans and living cells and conscious minds. Eventually, far in the future, so far that it's hard to even comprehend the timescales involved. Star formation will slow and stop. The universe will use up its supply of hydrogen gas. The fuel for making new stars and the existing stars will gradually burn out. Red dwarfs, the smallest and longest-lived stars, can shine for trillions of years on their meager fuel supplies, far longer than the current age of the universe. But even they will eventually exhaust their fuel. The universe will grow dark and cold, filled with stellar remnants, white dwarfs, and neutron stars and black holes, but no longer illuminated by the light of living stars. And eventually, given enough time, even those remnants will decay or evaporate through quantum processes, and the universe will become a thin soup of isolated particles, too far apart to ever interact, expanding forever into an increasingly cold and empty void. But that's trillions and trillions of years in the future. Time spans so vast they make the current age of the universe seem like a brief moment. For now, for the foreseeable future, the universe is alive with starlight. The Milky Way contains somewhere between 100 and 400 billion stars. And there are at least that many galaxies in the observable universe, probably Mars. The number of stars in the universe is larger than the number of grains of sand on all the beaches on Earth. Each one a sun, each one fusing hydrogen into helium, each one on its own journey through the life cycle of stars, each one potentially surrounded by planets, each one contributing to the ongoing story of cosmic evolution. And you are made of the dust of those stars. You are a way for the cosmos to experience itself from the inside. You are, in a very literal sense, the universe becoming aware of itself, looking back at its own history, understanding its own processes, capable of wonder and curiosity and the desire to know where you came from and what it all means. And right now, in this moment, you can let that awareness rest. You can let your thoughts dissolve like stars fading into dawn. You can let sleep come if it wants to come, or you can simply rest in the quiet darkness, breathing slowly, feeling the weight of your stardust body, knowing that you belong here, that you've always belonged here. The electrons in your atoms are moving right now, orbiting their nuclei in the classical picture, though quantum mechanics tells us the reality is stranger and more beautiful than simple orbits. They exist in probability clouds, regions of space where they're likely to be found, and they move at incredible speeds, creating the electromagnetic fields that hold molecules together, that give matter its properties, that make chemistry possible. Without electrons and their quantum behavior, there would be no chemical bonds, no molecules, no complexity, no life. The electron, that tiny particle with its negative charge and its peculiar quantum properties, is essential to everything we are. This quantum fuzziness exists at the foundation of everything. The solid matter you experience in everyday life, the feeling of your body against the bed or chair, the firmness of a floor beneath your feet, the resistance of objects when you push against them is really just the electromagnetic repulsion between electron clouds. Atoms never quite touch each other. The electrons surrounding each nucleus create a field, and when two atoms get close, their electron clouds push against each other with electric forces. That pushing, that repulsion, is what we experience as solidity, as the sensation of touch. So in a sense, you're not actually touching anything. You're hovering just above it, suspended by quantum forces, held up by the same electromagnetic interaction that creates lightning and powers the chemistry of life and holds molecules together. But we experience it as touching, as solid. And that's fine. That's what evolution designed our senses to perceive. We don't need to experience the quantum realm directly to navigate the everyday world successfully. We need to perceive solid objects and surfaces. And so that's what our brains construct from the sensory information they receive. Reality is far stranger than what we perceive. But our perceptions are perfectly suited for the scale at which we live, for the problems our ancestors needed to solve to survive and reproduce. The universe contains scales much smaller than atoms and much larger than galaxies, and at those extreme scales, different rules seem to apply. Or at least our everyday intuitions break down completely. Quantum mechanics governs the very small behavior of subatomic particles, the structure of atoms, the nature of chemical bonds. Relativity governs the very fast and the very massive, the motion of objects at speeds approaching the speed of light, the behavior of gravity around massive objects like stars and black holes, the structure of space-time itself. But in between, at the scales we inhabit, classical physics works just fine for most purposes. We can predict the motion of planets with Newton's laws, calculate the trajectory of a throne bowl, understand the flow of water in rivers and oceans, all without needing to worry about quantum uncertainty or relativistic time dilation. We exist in a kind of comfortable middle ground, a sweet spot of cosmic scales where the universe is neither too strange nor too simple, where complexity can exist and persist, where patterns can maintain themselves long enough for life to evolve and consciousness to emerge and civilizations to develop. And in that middle ground, you can rest. You can be at peace. The universe is holding you in its gravity, in its fields, in its forces. You are supported, always have been supported, always will be supported by the fundamental structure of reality itself. Feel yourself sinking deeper now, your muscles releasing layer by layer, your breathing becoming shallow and slow and effortless, your thoughts becoming dreamlike and disconnected, flowing from one image to another without logic or direction. This is natural. This is your body's wisdom. This is the Stardust, remembering how to rest, how to let go, how to float in the dark spaces between moments, how to surrender to the pull of sleep. When astronomers look deep into space with powerful telescopes like Hubble or the James Webb Space Telescope, they see galaxies in every direction. They look hundreds of billions of them scattered through the observable universe, each containing billions or hundreds of billions of stars, each galaxy its own island universe. And between those galaxies, mostly empty space, but not entirely empty. There are thin wisps of intergalactic gas, stray atoms wandering in the darkness, photons traveling from distant sources, neutrinos passing through everything like ghosts, barely interacting with matter, crossing vast distances unimpeded. And there are the remnants of ancient supernovae, still expanding outward after millions or billions of years, still carrying the heavy elements created in those stellar explosions. Some of that material will eventually be swept up by passing molecular clouds and incorporated into new stars and planets. The cycle continues endlessly, death feeding birth, destruction making creation possible, the universe endlessly recycling its matter and energy into new forms. New patterns, new possibilities. Your atoms have been through this cycle before, perhaps many times. Before they were part of you, they might have been part of other living things, other people, plants, animals, microbes. Before that, they might have been part of Earth's crust or oceans or atmosphere. Before that, part of the solar nebula, the cloud of gas and dust that became the solar system 4.5 billion years ago. And before that, drifting in interstellar space, ejected from dying stars, wandering the galaxy for millions or billions of years, patient and unchanging, waiting for gravity to gather them into something new. Each atom has a history, though it cannot remember it. Atoms don't have memory. They don't have consciousness. They don't have purpose or intention. They simply exist following the laws of physics, interacting with other atoms according to the rules of chemistry and quantum mechanics, forming molecules and structures and patterns. But those patterns, when arranged in just the right way, in the intricate configurations that make up living cells and nervous systems and brains, become capable of memory, become capable of thought, become you. Complexity emerges from simplicity. Consciousness arises from unconscious matter. Life appears in a universe of non-living things. These are the miracles of emergence. The way new properties and capabilities can appear when simple things are arranged in complex patterns. And now, after billions of years of cosmic wandering, after journeys through space and time that dwarf anything in human experience, those atoms have gathered together in the specific configuration that makes you possible. They've found each other through the action of gravity and chemistry, through the accidents of history and the inevitability of physical law, and they've formed you. And you can lie here in the darkness or the soft light and rest. You can let the day's concerns fade into insignificance. You can let the future wait. All that exists is this moment, this breath, this gentle settling into stillness and peace. The universe is so much older than any human lifetime, older than any biological lineage, older than the Earth, or the Sun, or the Milky Way galaxy. Stars live for millions or billions of years, slowly burning their hydrogen fuel. Galaxies exist for even longer, gradually evolving as they merge with other galaxies, as they form new generations of stars, as they slowly consume their gas supplies. The universe itself is nearly 14 billion years old, give or take a few 100 million years. Your life, measured against these timescales, is incredibly brief. You are a flicker, a momentary pattern in the endless dance of matter and energy. But you are no less real for being brief. A wave on the ocean's surface exists for only a moment before it subsides back into the water. But while it exists, It is fully and completely a wave, with its own shape and character and motion. And when it subsides back into the water remains, ready to form new waves, new patterns, new moments of emergence. You are like that wave. The matter that makes you is ancient and will continue long after the pattern of you has dissolved, but the pattern of you, the specific arrangement that is conscious and aware and uniquely yourself, this pattern exists now in this brief window of time, and that is enough. That is everything. This moment is all any of us ever have, and in this moment, you can be at peace. You don't need to achieve anything else. You don't need to become anything other than what you are. You can simply be, simply exist, simply rest in the knowledge that you are part of something vast and ancient and beautiful, somewhere out in the galaxy. Right now, while you're lying here listening to these words, stars are being born in giant molecular clouds. Gravity is pulling gas together, compressing it, heating it, and eventually a new star will ignite, beginning its journey through the stellar life cycle. Somewhere else, a massive star is reaching the end of its life, its core filling with iron, preparing for the catastrophic collapse that will trigger a supernova. And somewhere else, a white dwarf or neutron star or black hole is silently orbiting through space, the remnant of a star that died long ago. Perhaps before the Earth existed, perhaps before our sun was born. All of this is happening simultaneously, all the time, throughout the galaxy and throughout the universe. Birth and death, creation and destruction, the endless turning of the cosmic wheel. Stars are born, they live, they die. Galaxies collide and merge, creating new bursts of star formation. Black holes slowly evaporate through Hawking radiation over timescales longer than the current age of the universe. The expansion of the universe continues, gradually accelerating, driven by the mysterious dark energy that makes up most of the universe's energy density. And you are part of it all, connected to all of it through the atoms that make you, through the physical laws that govern both your body and the bodies of stars. Your heartbeat is slowing now, following your breath into deeper rhythms of rest. The electrical signals in your brain are shifting, moving from the rapid beta waves of waking consciousness toward the slower alpha and theta waves of relaxation and early sleep. Your body temperature is dropping slightly, your metabolism slowing, your muscles becoming heavy and still. This is the natural progression towards sleep, the body's way of preparing for rest and restoration, for the essential maintenance work that happens while consciousness fades. And the atoms that make you are still there, still vibrating with thermal energy, still following the laws of quantum mechanics and electromagnetism, but the pattern they form is becoming quieter, more still, moving toward the edge of sleep where consciousness dissolves into dreams. Let it happen. There's no need to hold on. There's no need to stay awake. The story of the universe continues, whether you're awake or asleep, whether you're conscious or dreaming, whether you hear these words or drift away into the soft darkness. In your dreams tonight, you might fly among the stars. You might visit distant worlds you've never seen, walk on alien beaches, under unfamiliar suns, look up at constellations that don't exist in our night sky. Dreams can take us anywhere, unbounded by the limits of physics or geography or biology. And in a way, that's fitting, because you are made of stardust, and stardust has traveled everywhere, has been everywhere, across billions of years and trillions of miles, across distances so vast they make the earth seem like a grain of sand on an infinite beach. The calcium in your bones might have come from one star, the iron in your blood from another, the oxygen in your water from a third. You are a collection, a gathering, an assembly of atoms from across the galaxy, all brought together by gravity and chemistry and the accidents of history to form you. And when you dream, you're returning, in a sense, to that cosmic freedom, that ability to be anywhere, to be anything, unbounded by the constraints of waking reality. But even in dreams, Ivani sleep, the physical you remains here, anchored by gravity to this planet, this small rocky world orbiting an ordinary star in the outer reaches of an ordinary galaxy, this home we call Earth. And that's beautiful too. That's grounding, that's comforting. You are both cosmic and local, both eternal and temporary, both vast and intimate, both connected to everything and uniquely yourself. Let your awareness of your body fade now. Let your thoughts become loose and wandering, like clouds drifting across an evening sky, like leaves floating down a slow stream. There's no need to direct them, no need to control them, no need to make sense of them. Let them go where they will. And if they dissolve entirely, if consciousness fades into the soft darkness of sleep, that's perfect. That's exactly what should happen. That's what this time is for. The universe will continue without your attention. The stars will keep shining, fusing hydrogen to helium in their cores, creating light that travels across space for years or centuries before reaching anyone's eyes. The galaxies will keep turning, their spiral arms slowly rotating. New stars forming in their gas clouds, old stars dying in supernovae or quietly fading as white dwarfs. The atoms will keep dancing their quantum dance. Electrons moving in their probability clouds. Nuclei bound together by the strong force. Everything following the laws of physics with perfect consistency and reliability. And in the morning, when you wake, whether that's in a few hours or many hours from now, the universe will still be there. The stars will still be shining. The earth will still be turning, and you'll still be made of stardust. Still be a temporary pattern in the eternal flow of matter and energy. Ready for another day of experiencing the cosmos from the inside. Ready for another day of being the universe looking at itself. For now, rest. Let go completely. Float in the dark waters between waking and sleeping. That liminal space where consciousness fades and dreams begin to form. You are safe. You are held. You are a part of something much larger than yourself, and that something is ancient and beautiful and ongoing. You belong to the universe, and the universe belongs to you. You are at home here, have always been at home here, will always be at home here. Breathe slowly, in and out. Like the tide, like the turning of seasons, like the slow rotation of the galaxy itself, like the expansion of the universe. Everything moves in cycles, in rhythms, in patterns that repeat on every scale, from the quantum to the cosmic, and you are moving with them. Part of the rhythm, part of the flow. Part of the great cosmic dance that's been going on for nearly 14 billion years, and will continue for billions or trillions more. There's nowhere else you need to be right now. Nothing else you need to do. This moment is complete in itself. This breath is complete in itself. This gentle settling into rest is complete in itself. You don't need to add anything to it or change anything about it. You can simply allow it to be what it is. Allow yourself to be what you are. Allow the universe to hold you the way it's been holding you your entire life. The light from distant stars is reaching Earth right now. Photons that have traveled for years or centuries or even millennia arriving at this moment. Some of them are passing through your window if you're near one, touching your walls, maybe even touching your closed eyelids with their ancient light. You are bathed in starlight, in messages from the past, in the gentle radiation of distant suns. And it's harmless, this starlight. It's too weak to hurt, too scattered to burn. It's just information, just light, just the universe saying, I'm here, I'm still here, I'll always be here. When you look up at the Milky Way on a dark night, far from city lights, that band of light stretching across the sky from horizon to horizon, you're looking at the disk of our galaxy from the inside. We live about 26,000 light years from the galactic center, about 2/3 of the way out from the center to the edge, in a relatively quiet spiral arm called the Orion Spur or Local Spur. It's a good neighborhood, cosmically speaking. Not too crowded with stars, which means nearby supernovae are rare. Not too empty, which means there's enough heavy element enrichment for rocky planets to form. Not too much radiation from the galactic center. Not too little of the elements that make planets and life possible. Our sun orbits the galactic center once every 225 to 250 million years. That's called a galactic year, one complete orbit around the center of the Milky Way. Earth has completed about 20 of these circuits since it formed 4.5 billion years ago. 20 trips around the galaxy, 20 enormous journeys through space, and life has existed on Earth for most of those journeys. Single-celled organisms for the first 15 or 16 trips around the galaxy. More complex life, multicellular organisms for the last few circuits. Humans, our species, Homo sapiens, for just the tiniest fraction of the most recent orbit. Maybe 1/10th of a galactic year. We are newcomers to this ancient galaxy, but we are not outsiders. We are not foreigners. We are made of galactic material, built from atoms that have been orbiting the galactic center for billions of years, perhaps since the galaxy itself formed from the merger of smaller proto-galaxies in the early universe. The galaxy is our home in a very literal sense. We belong to it. We are one of the ways it has organized itself, one of the patterns it has created, one of the methods by which it has become aware of itself. And you can rest in that belonging. You can let yourself be held by the knowledge that you are not separate, not isolated, not alone in the universe. You are intimately connected to everything, related to stars and planets and distant galaxies through the atoms that make you, through the forces that govern you, through the same physical laws that govern all of matter and energy everywhere. You are family to everything that exists, kin to the cosmos, child of the universe. Your breathing has become so slow now, so gentle, barely disturbing the air around you. Your body has found its resting state, its natural equilibrium, the place of minimum energy expenditure where it can most efficiently carry out the maintenance and restoration work of sleep. The small muscles around your eyes have released their tension. Your jaw has unclenched. Your shoulders have dropped away from your ears. Your hands have opened, fingers slightly curled in the natural resting position. Even your tongue has relaxed in your mouth, no longer pressed against your teeth or palate. This is deep relaxation, the kind that comes before sleep, or sometimes instead of sleep, when the body rests so completely that sleep isn't even necessary. In this state, your thoughts are barely thoughts anymore. They're more like images, fleeting and dreamlike, disconnected from the logical structures of waking consciousness. You might see colors or shapes with no clear meaning. You might remember fragments of the day, but distorted, changed, combined in impossible ways. You might imagine impossible things, scenarios that could never happen in the waking world. Or you might experience no images at all, just darkness, just the soft absence of perception, just the quiet void that's always there beneath consciousness. All of these experiences are normal. All of them are fine. All of them are part of the natural progression towards sleep. There's no wrong way to rest, no wrong way to drift. Your brain knows what it needs. Your body knows what it needs. And they're taking care of themselves, following billions of years of evolutionary programming, doing what needs to be done to maintain and restore the pattern of you. The pattern of you is complex beyond comprehension. Scientists estimate that the human brain contains roughly 86 billion neurons, each one a specialized cell capable of receiving and transmitting electrical and chemical signals. Each neuron is connected to thousands of other neurons through structures called synapses, creating a network of almost unimaginable complexity. The total number of synapses in your brain is probably around 100 trillion, and each one can be in various states of strength or weakness. Each one can be modified by experience, creating a network that's constantly changing, constantly adapting, constantly learning. Your memories, your personality, your skills and knowledge, your hopes and fears, your sense of who you are, all of it encoded somehow in that network, in the specific pattern of connections between neurons, in the strengths of those connections, in the complex dynamics of how signals flow through the network. We don't fully understand how it works yet. We don't know exactly how subjective experience arises from neural activity, how the firing of neurons gives rise to the felt quality of being you, of experiencing red or hearing music or feeling pain or falling in love. But we know it happens. We know that consciousness, that mysterious thing you're experiencing right now or were experiencing a moment ago before you started to drift towards sleep, emerges somehow from the physical processes in your brain. And those processes are built on chemistry, on the movement of ions and molecules, on electrical signals propagating along cell membranes. And that chemistry is built on atoms, on the electrons and protons and neutrons that make up matter. And those atoms came from stars. So in a very real sense, your consciousness, your sense of self, your inner life, all of it ultimately built from stardust. The carbon in the neurotransmitters flowing across your synapses right now was forged in a stellar core billions of years ago. The calcium ions flowing in and out of your neurons, triggering electrical signals, enabling thought and memory and feeling, came from dying stars. The phosphorus in the ATP molecules that provide energy to your cells, the sulfur in many of your proteins, the iron in the enzymes that make neurotransmitters, all of it from stars, all of it the product of stellar nucleosynthesis, even your thoughts, your consciousness, your sense of self, your experience of existing, all of it ultimately rooted in atoms that were created in the nuclear furnaces of ancient suns. You are not just made of stardust in a poetic sense. Your very consciousness, your ability to think and feel and wonder about your place in the cosmos, is built on a foundation of stardust, of atoms forged billions of years ago in stellar cores and scattered across space in supernova explosions. There's something profound about that, something that makes the boundary between you and the universe seem less clear, less definite. You are not a separate thing observing the universe from outside. You are not a ghost in a machine, a consciousness, somehow separate from the physical world. You are part of the universe, a small piece of it that has become complex enough to observe itself, to wonder about itself, to tell itself stories about where it came from and what it means and why it exists. And right now, this small piece of universe that is you is resting, settling, preparing to let go of consciousness for a while. And that's okay. That's good. That's necessary. Sleep is when the brain consolidates memories, moving them from short-term to long-term storage. Sleep is when the brain clears away cellular waste products that build up during the day, flushing them out through the lymphatic system. Sleep is when the brain repairs and maintains the neural networks that make thought possible. Sleep is essential for learning, for memory, for emotional regulation, for physical health, and your body is ready for it. Your brain is ready for it. Everything is ready. If sleep hasn't come yet, don't worry. Don't try to force it. Don't judge yourself for still being awake. Just continue resting, breathing slowly, letting your body be heavy and still. Sleep will come when it's ready, or you'll rest deeply even without sleeping. And either way is fine. Either way, you're taking care of yourself. Either way, you're giving your body and mind what they need. Either way, you're honoring the wisdom of your biology, the ancient processes that have sustained life for billions of years, out in space, far from Earth, beyond the orbit of Neptune, beyond the Kuiper Belt, where icy worlds orbit in the cold and dark. The Voyager spacecraft are still traveling. Launched in 1977, they've left the solar system now, crossed the heliopause where the sun's influence fades and interstellar space begins. They're carrying golden records with sounds and images from Earth, carefully curated messages to any alien civilization that might find them billions of years from now, long after our sun has died and Earth is gone. Those spacecraft are made of metal and plastic, silicon and copper, aluminum and gold, all elements forged in stars billions of years ago. And they're traveling back out into the interstellar medium, back to the realm from which those atoms originally came. In a sense, they're going home, returning to the space between stars. And they carry with them a message from us, from humanity, from one small group of Stardust beings to any other Stardust beings who might be out there. We were here, we existed, we looked up at the stars and wondered, and we sent a part of ourselves out to join them. It's a beautiful gesture, perhaps futile, but beautiful nonetheless. The odds of an alien civilization stumbling upon such small objects in the vast emptiness of interstellar space are incredibly slim, almost infinite. Space is so vast and empty that even with billions of stars in our galaxy, the distances between them are enormous. The nearest star to our sun is 4 light years away, which means even light traveling at the cosmic speed limit takes 4 years to cross that distance. The Voyager spacecraft are traveling much slower than light, about 0.6% of light speed, which means they would take tens of thousands of years to reach even the nearest star if they were aimed in that direction, which they're not. But the gesture matters. The attempt to reach out, to connect, to say hello across the cosmic distances, to send a message in a bottle into the ocean of space that matters, regardless of whether anyone ever finds it or reads it. It matters that we tried. It matters that we cared. It matters that we looked up at the stars and felt kinship with whatever might be out there and wanted to share something of ourselves, wanted to say we existed, wanted to leave some record of our time in the cosmos. You're reaching out to, in your own way, by being eerie, by listening to the story, by allowing yourself to think about the cosmos and your place in it. You're participating in the universe's attempt to understand itself. You're part of the great awakening of matter, the gradual emergence of consciousness and awareness from the simple interactions of atoms and molecules, from the blind operation of physical law, from the random mutations and natural selection that shaped life on Earth for billions of years. And now you can let that participation rest for a while. You can set down the questions and the wonder and simply be, simply exist. Simply breathe and rest and allow the darkness to hold you. The universe will keep going, the stars will keep shining, and you can sleep. You can let go. You can drift away into dreams or into the dreamless void of deep sleep, whichever comes first, whichever your body needs.